Let's go make something awesome. Okay, so we're gonna start out with a couple of different molds. I thought about doing this, like doing it with a wire, but honestly, why make things harder when I think this will work just fine. So this is a honeycomb pattern coaster mold. It has some mica powder in it. I'm probably just gonna use that exact same color just because it's already in there. Now, I do really love this color. It's hard to see in this light, but it is like a gold. It's indigo, violet, red, orange, yellow. So it has a really cool shift to it. So I'm just gonna take a little bit of this, like that. And I'm just gonna kind of like brush it over parts of this mold. And I'm really mostly concerned with getting it into those edges. Now, I'm not going to fill the entire mold. You certainly could if you wanted. I'm just wanting to create like a base, and I want that base to have these like hexagon things in here. Here we go. Okay, and yeah, so this will look good. I think this will be fun. Okay, I think I got a good amount in there. Okay, I'm gonna close this. Let's see if you can see the sheen. Okay, now I'm gonna put my gloves on and I'm gonna put some resin in there. Okay, so again, I'm not doing the entire mold. I just want to kind of create like a little jagged. So I'm just kind of going around like that. There we go. And I'm gonna cure this really quickly. And right now it's more or less just an outline. And then this will make it a little bit easier to flood the top of it, which will be nice. So I'm just gonna let this cure for a moment or two. And I definitely wanna make sure that this stays flat. Okay, and now I'm gonna cover the parts. Okay, and if it spills beyond, what I originally outlined, that's totally fine. Okay, I'm gonna cure this for a bit. And I'm just gonna give it another cure on this side just to be sure. Okay, now before demolding it, I'm gonna let it cure, or I'm gonna let it sit and cool for a bit. So I'll skip ahead a bit so that you can not have to witness that. Okay, so now I'm gonna demold this. We'll see how it turned out. There we go. Okay, so now I have this little matrix sort of deal, honeycomb piece, and this is where I'm going to kind of like build my scene. Now I want this side of things to be up, so like the cavities are going to face upward, and I'm going to put a little bit of resin on the edges, a little bit at a time, and then dip them into my glitter to make it look a little bit like druzy. Okay, so I have one half of it dipped. And then I'm just gonna keep going around. Okay, so I've outlined the whole thing here, and I'm gonna put, again, I'm gonna like lay it into the glitter. Okay, so my platform is done. Now I'm gonna use this mold, which it's just like a crystal cluster. I'm not gonna use the whole thing. I'm just gonna kind of use the couple down here at the bottom. And then I'll make as many as I want to, you know, to decorate. So yeah, I'm just gonna put a little bit into each of these cavities. If they stick together, it's fine, but I don't necessarily need them to stick together. Like that. And let's just do a couple more down here. Just because you have a mold doesn't mean you have to use the whole thing, right? You can literally just use the piece of the mold that you want. So that's what I'm gonna do. And I'm gonna try to cure from a few different angles to make sure, because this is a little deeper than like I would normally use UV resin for, but that's why I'm only using part of the mold instead of the entire mold. Okay, these in the middle here are still not cured, so I'm gonna go ahead and let those cure a bit longer. And while I'm waiting for that, I can start kind of planning what I want to do with these guys. And if I need to make bigger ones, I can. If I want to make smaller ones, I can. But essentially, I'm gonna like stack these around. Just a couple of areas as if they were just like kind of glowing out of, or growing out of nowhere. And like I said, I might even make a couple more. That one looks a little crazy, but I kind of love it. I kind of love it. It looks pretty neat. We'll reserve that one. We may or may not use it. Okay, I'm gonna just fill a couple of these larger ones. Okay, so I have demolded all my stuff. These little pieces that are kind of like extraneous, if I can, I'm just gonna snip them off. If I can't, I'm not gonna worry about it because it's mostly gonna be hidden when I attach it anyway. So I'm just kind of going through like that, and just trimming them off. That's kind of nothing. Okay, so now that I have all these little crystal doodads, I'm gonna go ahead and start applying them to the piece. So the way I'm gonna do that is I'm gonna fill one of the cavities of this little thing to use as like a palette. That way I can move it aside when needed, because like I don't want my light to accidentally cure it. So I'm gonna just pour a little bit of this in there. Just enough to kind of coat the bottom of the piece. And then I'm also going to use a little bit of glitter as well. And I'm gonna almost like batter it like a chicken, like if you're frying chicken. I know that's a really weird comparison, but okay, so first I'm gonna take my pieces. I think that this will lay flat like that. It should, yeah, that should work. So I'm gonna like take a piece. I think I'm gonna work from this side though, because I want to kind of cover up this piece here. Okay, so dip it just enough to get some resin on the bottom. Lightly dunk it in your glitter, dip it back in there. Some of the glitter is probably gonna fall off, that's okay. And then put it in place like this. And then I'm gonna move this out of the way. And then I'm gonna cure. And I'm just gonna give it like a minute or like a couple of seconds, maybe a minute, just enough to get it to stay in place so I can move on to the next. And that looks pretty solid. Okay, so I'll set that aside and I'm just gonna kind of I'm gonna build a few up here and then a couple down here. So I wanna reserve at least 2 of the larger ones for this side. And then we'll do like a big cluster up here at the front. So once again, I'm gonna dip it in the resin. Now this is just how I do it. You could obviously just put your resin there if you wanted to. This I find, this always gives me the most control over, you know, kind of like where I want to place everything. And we'll put one here. That. And cure. Now, if you did leave them all kind of like attached, obviously you could just put the one big block of crystals there. I went with a different approach so that I could kind of customize the way I want my crystal matrix to look. Because in the AI image, you can see that it was very like, you know, organic looking and stuff like that. So just a little dip in the glitter. I like to use this glitter dip technique because it really does kind of give an almost druzy effect, which I absolutely love the look of. You just get that like nice cluster of druzy effect at the bottom, which looks really, really cool. All right, let's see here. This one's a little wild. I like it though. That's really cool. Okay, I'm gonna put a couple more like going this direction, and then I'll put the rest down at the bottom. Alrighty. Okay, so I'm gonna give it all a really good cure once I'm done with this side. So now I'm gonna start working on this side of it, and I'll do a little dip action. Another reason why I like to do this glitter dip thing is because then I don't have to clean up the bottom of the crystals. They just it's just hidden. It's hidden in the glitter. Okay, and to make sure that everything stays where I put it, I'm gonna go through and just take the last of my glue with the glitter and just kind of like pack it in around those crystals. And again, this will give us a druzy effect. It'll also give us you know, some more visual interest and texture. And then of course it's gonna help keep everything where we put it. I especially like to put this on the outer side of the crystals. Like that. There we go. I just have a little bit more left. right back here. Okay, cool. One more really good long cure, and then we'll start on our bee. Okay, next up, I'm going to be working on the body of the bee. I'm going to be using these little round connectors. I don't know how many of them I'm going to need, but I'm anticipating maybe needing to stack at least 2 on top of each other for this, but we'll get there. We'll see how that looks. And yeah, so my game plan here, I'm going to cut off a piece of the resin tape. This is Let's resin tape. This is from the starter kit that I showed off a few weeks ago. I'm still using this tape. Like it hasn't gone away yet, or I haven't used it up yet. Okay, so I have my bee body like that. I'm just going to zoom in just a hair. There we go. Okay, so first step, I'm going to make sure this is completely pushed all the way down and all sides are good to go. And then I'm going to fill the middle with a bit of resin. Okay, and then I'm going to spread that around. So it fully coats this whole area. I'm not looking for a dome or anything. If it does happen, that's okay, but I don't need it to be domed just yet. I just need a base layer. So go ahead and cure that. Okay, so now I'm going to take it off. Now I have a nice little base to start with. My gloves really don't like that, or my camera really doesn't like those gloves. Okay, so I have this. Now, what I'm gonna do is turn it over to the flat side. I'm gonna put just the littlest bit of resin in it. Just a glaze. Like that. Okay. I'm gonna let it kind of settle for just a second while I trim off a piece of this nail transfer foil. This is such a pretty... Why is the image doubled? Are there 2 pieces here? Oh, there are. Cool. Okay, so I'm just gonna cut off a little bit. And then I'm gonna lay this on top like that, and I'm gonna make sure it's pressed all the way around like that. I think it's still fine. And it should still work. Okay. And now I'm going to cure. And I'm hoping that the resin will cause this to stick to it because the transfer glue situation that I tried on Monday, it wasn't great. Okay, I think it might be ready. All right, let's see if this works. It did. Wow, that looks cool. I'm definitely gonna have to clean it up a bit, but that looks pretty neat. So this is gonna be the body of my bee. I know that you're like thinking to yourself, Mary, what the heck are you talking about? That is clearly not the body of a bee, but it's gonna look really neat. I think, I hope. All right, let's get rid of some of the excess here. Okay, so I got the big chunky pieces. Now I'm going to try to remove just the outer edge here. I'm gonna do this super duper slowly. I don't feel like dealing with a cut today. There we go. And if it won't come off, then that's fine, because I can sand it off later if I really have to. I didn't want to lose the frame, so that's why, again, my thought was to stack these up like this. And I think that will look pretty cool. So that'll bring back my frame. So yeah, I'm gonna fill this with a little drop of resin and then stack that frame on top. Okay, so the body of my bee is good to go. Now the last thing I'm going to do, well, I wouldn't say the last, but next I'm going to make a head for the bee. I'm going to use this little gemstone mold, and I think I'm going to use this to make the head, and then this to make the like antenna, or maybe the one directly under it. So like these two. So the first thing I'm going to do is fill this with resin about halfway. Okay, so we'll do that. Okay, so now I have this to work as the head. I'll clean up any of this glitter that's still in the way. And then I'm going to use this to make my antenna. Okay, the way I plan to do this is I'm going to do okay, I'm going to pour a little bit along the edge here, up to the side, and I'm going to keep it angled a little bit, like that, and I'm just going to make sure that it goes all the way up evenly, and then I'm going to hold it just like this, and then I'm going to cure. Because I don't want the whole thing full, I just want kind of like that one little corner. Okay, and then as soon as it stops moving, I'm going to come and I'm going to fill the other side, making sure that they touch down at the bottom. And again, I want it to go all the way up to the top, but I want to leave that gap in the middle. So if you can see, you really can't see because it's, yeah. Okay, so a few things I've got going on here. This is the head of my piece. So that's, I'm going to use that as the head. This will be kind of like the antenna. I know it's hard to see right now. And then this I'm going to just use as a little bit of decoration on the back of the bee. Just to give it some pizzazz, because the bee in the AI image is really, really fancy looking. So I want to make sure my guy is just as fancy. Now, this is silver toned. This is gold toned, and while I'm all about mixing metals, I kind of want to keep it all cohesive. So I'm going to very, very easily remedy that by using my gold oil pen marker. I love this thing. It works super well. And I'm just going to literally, hopefully you can see, trying to get it to focus. And I'm literally just gonna very lightly touch it on all of the exposed silver pieces. If any gets on the crystal, it'll wipe right off. So here we go. And this just gives us the look of gold that we want. Like that. And it settles just so nicely into all of the details. Like that. And I'm just going to make sure that all of the little edges are coated. Okay, so just like that, it's gold now instead of silver. And then just to make sure like everything stays, there we go. So now I'm gonna just resin it onto the back of this, just wherever it'll fit. Okay, so tiny drop. Kind of want it right here at the top, as if it's like the thorax. Okay, and then I'm gonna just place it right there. Okay, so we put that on the body. Now I'm gonna work on the head. So this is the headpiece. There's a little bit of excess that I need to trim off, like right there. So I don't know if this is too thick to do this with. Yeah, that's a bit too thick. So I'm gonna try scissors instead. There we go. Beautiful. Excellent. Okay, so I have this. I'm going to attach this like so, except maybe like that. So it's gonna look kind of like a little bit like Loki. Okay, but before I'm gonna do that, I am going to color the very edge of this with some gold. Okay, I really need to get a new one of these guys. So I'm gonna like that. For the drama, like that, all the way to the end. Okay, and while I'm at it, I'm gonna go ahead and do all of the corners of this as well. So, or all of the edges, I should say, like that. And then that. And then like that. Okay, then I'll give both of these a chance to dry. Okay, so they're both dry now. What I'm gonna do at this point is I have it sitting on a silicone pad. I'm gonna just put a little bit up here on the top, and I'm gonna lay this right on top of it like that. And it's okay if some spills out along the bottom, because you're not really going to see that very much. Okay. Now that is looking good. It does literally look like a little mini Loki. Okay. Oh, there we go. You can kind of see it here. Okay, so I'm going to set this aside. And I'm going to set this aside. And now we need to do the thing that kind of pulls it all together, which is to make ourselves some wings. Now I have this mold, I'm pretty sure it's from Amazon. I'll make sure I link at least a similar one, but I'm gonna just use these two smaller ones because I think that'll be a nice proportional size for my piece. So I'm gonna fill these in. There's a little bit of gold in there from when I test run this, and I did again cut out the little posts that would normally make a hole. So if you buy these from Amazon or wherever, you're probably gonna see that. You're gonna see that it actually does have those little posts. Okay. Now, I'm gonna give it a second to release any air bubbles if there are gonna be any. These guys are a little tricky because if there is an air bubble like trapped along the side, for instance, it's going to cause like a little gap in the border. So I'm going to try to just do something to mitigate that. To stop that from happening, I'm going to take a little bit of wire and I'm just going to kind of like run it along those edges. And that way, hopefully it'll drag out any of those bubbles. Like, I don't so much mind if the bubbles are, you know, in the middle or wherever, but I just don't want them on the edge because I don't want those little gaps to happen. So I'm just going to make sure that I run this all along the edge and force any of the bubbles that are in those edges back open, you know, back out to the open. And hopefully that will fix the issue of the weird gaps. Okay, so, I mean, we may have some bubbles at the very bottom. That's okay, because I'm gonna be coloring them in anyway. Here we go. Okay. And then I'm gonna cure this. Okay, so I've demolded my two wings, and what I'm gonna do, so they have a lot of texture to them. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna color in the back side with the gold color. So on the flat side, I'm gonna fill it in with my gold pen and kind of get it to run a little bit. I might have to do a couple of coats of this. Okay, so the gold is gonna shine through the back here, and I don't know if this is gonna work, but I kind of want to try it. I'm gonna see if I just add a little bit of resin to just the surface and then do the flowers. I want to see kind of how that will look. So I'm gonna do it for one of them. Which one of these do I like the least? This one is the lesser nice one, so I'm gonna do it on this. Okay, put out a little bit right there, and for on this, I'm just gonna run it and just lightly touch it on the very edges, just enough. Okay, again, I don't know if this is gonna work or not, but we're gonna find out together. So I'm gonna put this directly on top. So that's gonna lay directly on top, like that. I want to make sure I'm getting full contact here. All right. Okay, so now I'm going to pull it off and see what it looks like. If it looks terrible, then we'll move on. If not, then we'll do it to the other one. So. Oh no, it's stuck. There we go. There we go. It looks pretty cool, actually. Let's see. Okay, so it's gonna lay like that. And then this will go next to it. Kind of like it. Versus that. Yeah, I think I'll stick with this. Okay, I'll stick with that. Wonder if I can just color over this. Oh, I can. Perfect. Okay, so now I need to get them all assembled. So I'm gonna lay this guy in here. Actually, I think I'm gonna do it on the back side. So then there will be more room. So I'm gonna lay that there. And then I'm going to flank it with these, like this. Okay. To make this as easy as possible, this is how I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna put a line across here, like that. Again, we're not gonna be seeing the underside, so it should be okay. So I'm gonna lay that right in the middle of that. And I'm gonna lay this on the side. And then this on the side. Like this. And if you even wanted to, you could like lift them up a little bit. I kind of like the look of that. So I'm gonna do that. Let's see, grab some brushes here. So for this one, I'm just gonna give this something to like rest against, like this. And then same on this side. And this will help kind of create some movement and drama. Okay. And then I'll move those out of the way. And now I'm going to attach the head. And to do that, I'm just going to do the exact same thing. Put a little puddle. I'm going to make sure it touches the wings and the body. And then I'm going to place that right into place, or set it right into place. This is the bee. And you can really kind of like, you know, either leave it alone. You can attach it, which I'm gonna probably place it right there. I like the way that looks. Or do I want it like this? I think they both look cool. It doesn't really matter, I suppose. But I do kind of want it offset a little, just again for the drama. Yeah, I'm gonna put it right there. So I'm gonna put a bit of resin along here. Some place for it to sit. Like that. And I'm gonna try to hold it kind of at an angle so that it'll cure this way. I might have to hold it from the other side. Like that. All right. Wow, she looks so cute. Let me move this out of the way. Oh, I love her. She's so pretty. Okay, but it still feels a little unfinished because it's kind of hard to see unless it's on a dark background. So to remedy that, I am gonna give it a dark background. So let me decide how I want to do that and I'll be right back. Okay, so my piece is officially dry, and I'm trying to decide if I want to add gold accents or not. I don't really think I'm gonna see them very much, because once I fix this, it's gonna like mostly be hidden. But I do kind of want to tie the frame into the bee. So I think how I'll do this is I'm going to take that marker, and this is a personal decision. I'm not suggesting anyone else try this or anything along those lines. But what I'm going to do is just put a couple of dabs in here just to get it like a little puddle. And then I'm going to use my finger, set that aside, and then I'm just going to kind of like dust it over just a little bit. You could probably do this with a brush, but I always find that like when I use my finger, I definitely get a more soft and even application, and I don't have to worry about brush strokes. Again, this is just my personal way of doing this. You have to make those decisions for yourself of whether you think it's safe or not. Please do not let me sway you one way or another. Okay, so a little bit of gilding. Some here. I just want enough to kind of bring out some of those flower details because they're so pretty. I think using a frame like this takes a piece from being like a little tchotchke or a little, you know, like cute, I guess it's a paperweight, you know? It takes it from that and like kind of elevates it into an art piece. So this is one of the ways that I like to just really give a little extra pizzazz to a piece. Here we go. Okay, I'm feeling pretty happy with that. It's very subtle, but it's just enough to really make this pop. And now that I'm thinking about it, I kind of wish I had done it like a blue color to more, you know, match the bee, but that's okay. So now I just need to figure out how I want this to sit. And I think I just kind of want it to be like that. I actually wonder, I think I might try to snip these off. Yeah, this piece is a bit too thick to do that with. So I can either leave it there or I can try to snap it off with something else. I don't know where my flush cutters went. I think they're in my other, I think they're near where my computer is. Ah, my bee. I really should have done this before I added the bee. Okay, my bee kind of moved a little bit. I'm gonna add him back. Okay, and last step, I'm going to put my bee onto the frame. I think I want it to sit just like that. And so I'm gonna put some dabs of resin in the places that I want it to go. And yeah, and then she'll be all done. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna apply here. And if I have to come back and reinforce it, I can. I'm just gonna kind of put a little along the perimeter. And then I'm gonna lay it down. All right, well, she looks amazing. I'm obsessed. Let's go take some photos. Isn't she gorgeous? I can't believe how stunning it looks, and putting the black background really just elevated the whole look and made all of the colors super vibrant. I'm so happy with how this turned out. It just all came together exactly how I wanted it to. And I'm so excited to just have it on my wall, or maybe I'll sell it. I don't know, we'll see. But in any case, I hope you had a great time today. If you did, make sure you subscribe. I do projects like this all the time. Make sure you subscribe. Leave a comment down below of what animal or what insect you would put here. I think a lunar moth would be so pretty. And I'll see you again next week for our next Wednesd-AI project. Thanks for hanging out today. Go make something awesome. And as always, stay rad. If you enjoyed this project, check out how I turned some simple resin drips into an awesome hair clip in this video. Click here now.